If you've just joined us, we've been following Simphiwe's incredible journey climbing Kilimanjaro. Let's take a look at part 2 of the summit, and please note the visuals in the inset, of course, were recorded using a cell phone. Do enjoy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you.
The 15th of July is Richard Mabaso's birthday. He's a social entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Imbumba Foundation, which is behind the Trek for Mandela annual expedition. For the past 7 years, he's been celebrating his birthday on Mount Kilimanjaro. This will be his 8th summit. After breakfast, Dr. Joseph conducts his mandatory medical checks twice daily to monitor our body's progress at these higher elevations, and he administers Diamox, a tablet that prevents symptoms of altitude sickness. The data is recorded to evaluate changes over time. If he determines that it is too risky to continue, you would be escorted down the mountain for your own safety. After getting the day's instructions from the guides and porters, we set off for Horombo Camp. These guides are incredible. Much more experienced and are able to spot subtle changes in our behavior and react quickly. The terrain is getting rockier and harder to traverse. Kilimanjaro is a popular destination for hikers and climbers of various skill levels. With proper preparation, training, and the use of experienced guides, Kilimanjaro can be attempted by most physically fit individuals. However, reaching the summit is not guaranteed, as the effects of altitude can make the final push to the top quite challenging, even for experienced mountaineers. Altitude is a significant factor in determining the weather conditions on the mountain. As you hike, the Kilimanjaro temperature drops and the weather changes. Within minutes, it changed from hot and sunny to cloudy and overcast. After an estimated 8-hour trek, we finally get to Horombo Camp. It is situated along Mount Kilimanjaro's Marangu route that has a mix of both cabin accommodation and an isolated ground area for putting up tents. The Horombo Hearts campsite is the second campsite from the beginning of the route that starts right at the Marangu gate. The main advantage of the Horombo Hearts campsite is the abundance of water, made possible by the presence of a stream nearby. It's day 3 and it's Acclimatization Day. The general rule of thumb is that when climbing Kilimanjaro, you need to drink at least 4 liters of water per day. That's because the requirement for fluids is very high when trekking at altitude. To acclimatize our bodies in preparation for higher altitudes at Uhuru Peak, we will tackle Mawenzi Peak. This is Mount Kilimanjaro's second highest peak, standing at a staggering 5,149 meters. This peak is the third highest peak in Africa. Made up of a very steep slope and loose rocks, experience and expertise are vital to access the Mawenzi Peak. For more than a decade, it was not allowed to scale Mawenzi Peak due to the danger it posed. The steep terrain and fragile rocks make climbing it extremely hazardous. Despite the risks though, the park authorities reopened Mawenzi for tourists. After about 2 hours of slow trekking, the team couldn't miss an opportunity to take pictures below Zebra Rock along the way. It is believed that it was given such a name because of its resemblance to the black and white zebra stripes. After conquering Mawenzi Peak, the rugged sister of Kilimanjaro, we are now at a vantage point to clearly see Kilimanjaro. Now this is the route we will traverse the following day on our trip up the mountain. And there she is, Mount Kilimanjaro, sitting pretty at 5,895 meters above sea level. Back at the camp, I bumped into an American athlete, Brian Reynolds, who is a double amputee. At the age of 4, he contracted a rare form of meningitis, leading to the amputation of both his legs. He's summiting Kilimanjaro for the second time.
I came here 11 years ago and I did it as part of a charity climb, and I had a great guide and experience when I was here. And my guide was telling me that he usually runs it in one day. And I thought, that is really crazy. Why would you ever do that? But then last year I was like, I think it would be fun to run.
Wait, are you gonna run up the mountain?
Yes.
Get out of here.
And one day from the park entrance to the summit, back to the park entrance is the goal.
It is early hours of the 18th of July, International Mandela Day. It's freezing with temperatures at -8 degrees, and it'll drop even lower at the summit. The reason we start the hike at midnight is because the higher the altitude, the harder it is to sleep at night. The reduced oxygen makes breathing more difficult. The walking pace is reduced even further. At around 6:10 a.m., the sun was out and gave us a glimpse of the glaciers and ice fields dotted all over the mountain peak. So what better time of the day to stand atop the summit of Kilimanjaro and gaze down the mountain and the African plains than first light? After walking for about 9 hours overnight, we get to Stella Point, the ultimate way marker on the path to Uhuru Peak, standing at 5,756 meters above sea level. It is 9:45 a.m. and this is Uhuru Peak, the highest point on Mount Kilimanjaro. For many climbers, getting to this point is a fulfillment of a lifelong dream. The joy is unspeakable. The feeling of accomplishment and achievement can never be overstated. Most felt that after this, there's nothing they can't do. At the summit is a large crater formed after a volcano erupted, and just like Shira volcano, it also collapsed in on itself and is now a flat area containing glaciers which are now fast retreating. The summit Uhuru Peak is on the crater rim. One interesting point is that both Mawenzi and Shira are extinct, but Kibo is dormant. The air is very thin here, and oxygen levels are close to zero. So we're not allowed to stick around for longer than 10 minutes, so we're making our way downhill. Descending the mountain is not as easy as would be imagined, but it helped that everyone was in an excellent mood. We had done it, and now we're heading back to civilization with as much energy as we could manage. After an almost 19-hour walk down the mountain, we made an overnight stop at Horombo Camp. And in the morning, our amazing team of porters and guides gave us a heartwarming send-off in the best way they know how. We begin the second part of the trek downhill in earnest and a moment of reflection.
We spent an incredible time out in beautiful Tanzania with an amazing group of people in our team.
The smallest thing that we could need, that we might not have known that we needed, you were there for us. I mean, somebody came to wipe my nose at some point.
I've had both hips replaced, I've had both knees replaced, and something like this was always out of reach for me.
The journey was very fulfilling. It was a transformative journey, a journey of self-discovery.
I'm on top of Africa, as tough as you can get.
So our Kilimanjaro journey almost draws to a close, but it doesn't really end because lending a helping hand is always an ongoing journey. And as soon as we get back to Johannesburg, we'll kickstart the process of procuring and distributing the sanitary towels to all the identified schools all over South Africa. I'm Simphiwe Ncongwane for Morning Live SABC.
Well, this is definitely something that I would do again. So if you're on a summit Kilimanjaro, I certainly hope that this made you decide whether you want to do it or not.